Hi, my name is Heidi Galarza Argudo, and today's topic is preventing and controlling influenza with available interventions. Definition: Influenza is a viral infection that affects mainly the nose, throat, bronchi, and lungs.
Hello everyone, I'm Danielle Goss and welcome to another edition of the Third Age Health Brief. It's that time of year again, the sneezing, coughing, fever, and chills with a side of body aches. It is officially flu season. Most people associate the flu as being a stomach virus, when in actuality the flu, better known as influenza, is a viral respiratory infection that can prove deadly for some people. The Center for Disease Control has released some startling flu facts that may cause even the healthiest of individuals running towards their vaccine. Think you're invincible? Think that the flu can't get to you? Well, here are a few flu facts. Influenza, the flu, can be a serious disease that can lead to hospitalization and sometimes even death. Anyone can get sick from the flu. On average, 5 to 20% of the U.S. population will get the flu. 200,000 Americans will be hospitalized due to complications associated with the flu. Anywhere between 3,000 and 49,000 people will die each year due to flu-related complications. In 2007, the flu was the 8th leading cause of death. In 2010, the H1N1 or swine flu epidemic resulted in 12,000 deaths, with 90% among people younger than 65. People with flu can spread it to others. Influenza viruses are spread mainly by droplets made when people with the flu cough, sneeze, or talk. These droplets can land in the mouths or nose of people who are up to about 6 feet away or possibly be inhaled into the lungs. Less often, a person might get flu by touching a surface or object that has flu virus on it and then touching their own mouth or nose. The typical incubation period for the flu is 1 to 4 days. Adults can be contagious from the day before symptoms begin through 5 to 10 days after the illness starts. A regular case of the flu typically resolves after 3 to 7 days for the majority of people, although cough and fatigue can persist for more than 2 weeks. Most healthy adults may be able to infect others beginning 1 day before symptoms develop and up to 5 to 7 days after becoming sick. Children may pass the virus for longer. Symptoms start 1 to 4 days after the virus enters the body. That means that you may be able to pass on the flu to someone else before you even know you're sick, as well as while you are sick. Some persons can be infected with the flu virus but have no symptoms at all. During this time, those persons may still spread the virus to others. Some people, such as older adults, pregnant women, and very young children, as well as people with certain long-term medical conditions, are at high risk of serious complications from the flu. These medical conditions include chronic lung diseases such as asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease known as COPD, diabetes, heart disease, neurological conditions, and pregnancy. Since healthcare workers may care for or live with people at high risk for influenza-related complications, it is especially important for them to get vaccinated annually. Annual vaccination is important because influenza is unpredictable. Flu viruses are constantly changing and immunity from vaccination declines over time. Currently, there are only about 165 million vaccines available. The CDC recommends an annual flu vaccine as the first and best way to protect against influenza. The vaccine protects against H1N1, influenza B, and A. This recommendation is the same even during years when the vaccine composition, the viruses the vaccine protects against, remains unchanged from the previous season. The best thing you can do is to protect yourself by washing your hands frequently, avoiding touching your eyes, mouth, and nose, and drinking plenty of fluids. Getting vaccinated is a personal choice, but should be considered with those who are at greater risk. However, if you have an egg allergy, consult with your healthcare provider as you may not be a candidate for vaccination. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Third Age Health Brief. I'm Danielle Goss. Thanks for watching.
So, application in medicine. There is much that the public health community and clinicians can do now to reduce influenza's impact.
So what's the best way to prevent getting influenza? The best way to prevent getting influenza is vaccination. The vaccine is very safe. It's been used for many years. It's a split vaccine, that is, it's a killed virus, and you can't get influenza from the vaccine itself. The other thing about the vaccine is that it changes every year. So as the virus changes, we change the vaccine. And so every year a group meets after the last winter to see what circulating strains there have been and also what circulating strains of virus there have been in the Northern Hemisphere. And the vaccine is reformulated, virus is grown up, it's killed. It's very important to realise that the virus is killed before it's put into the vaccine, and then it's dispensed every year, and typically we recommend people get vaccine before winter, so somewhere around April of each year. It's important to realise that the vaccine needs to be given each year because the virus does change, but also there's a little bit of waning immunity that occurs. And there are very good studies that show that if you have the vaccine every year, then the protection from the more severe complications of influenza, as well as influenza itself, is higher than if you just have the vaccine once every now and then.
So it's important to prevent and control influenza. Pros and cons. Infection prevention and control measures are essential for preventing nosocomial influenza and other complications. The cons of influenza are pulmonary conditions, cardiac conditions, immunosuppression, and morbid obesity. Disease. The typical symptoms of influenza are fever, cough, headache, sore throat, and muscle aches. Some people have also diarrhea.
Flu-like, I think.
Fever, chills, throwing up, nausea, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Coughing, sneezing. Fatigue, nausea, I don't know.
I think it's just like a flu, right? That's
So flu-like symptoms like coughing, sneezing,
fever, things like that.
yeah.
Well, the most telltale sign of flu is actually fever and dry cough, although you can have also a cluster of other symptoms such as stuffy nose and sore throat and muscle aches and feeling tired all the time. And those symptoms will tend to peak around the third day and will usually subside within a week.
Complication. After an incubation period of 1 to 3 days, most persons with symptomatic influenza virus infection have uncomplicated illness. Prevention. Annual influenza vaccination is recommended for everyone 6 months of age or older. Let's see how the virus acts and how the influenza vaccine important is.
Have you ever wondered why?
It will take a little bit.
Nation each year? Unlike other viruses that are relatively stable, influenza viruses are always changing. Influenza genes drift to create new viruses. This means that the infection-fighting antibodies that your body makes in response to the flu vaccine may only protect you for one flu season. After that, circulating flu strains may change and make the old vaccine ineffective. A new vaccine is needed to match the new viruses. The heart of a flu virus has 8 string-like segments called RNA. These are the genes that encode parts of the virus. Around the RNA are different proteins. The proteins involved in drift are called hemagglutinin and neuraminidase. Scientists call them HA and NA. There are 16 subtypes of HA proteins and 9 of NA. From these protein combinations, scientists name influenza A viruses. For example, an H5N1 virus contains hemagglutinin subtype 5 and neuraminidase subtype 1. If a person has been vaccinated or has a natural immunity against the virus, antibodies will attach to the HA protein, blocking it from infecting human cells and stopping the virus from spreading. Without natural immunity, or immunity provided by the correct vaccine, the HA proteins on the virus interact with sugars on the outside of those cells. This creates a bond that allows the virus to enter targeted cells.
Sorry for these interruptions. This video is more complete than the
Infection.
last video.
When the influenza viruses replicate, they can mutate slightly. Scientists have shown that this leaves small changes in the HA and NA proteins. Over time, as the virus spreads from person to person, these changes accumulate and the virus drifts from its original form. Eventually, the immune system no longer recognizes the HA proteins from the virus and the flu vaccine becomes ineffective. Each year, flu vaccine is made to protect against the most common flu viruses predicted to circulate among the population. Historically, scientists have done a remarkable job of matching the vaccine to the circulating virus.
So I said that this video is more completed than the last video.
Although there is an effective vaccine, not enough people choose to get it. As a result, influenza sickens between 5 and 20% of the U.S. population. More than 200,000 people may be hospitalized, and up to 49,000 people may die. That is why health officials recommend flu vaccination before every flu season.
Is there another way to prevent influenza? Let's see this last video.
Just like
Hand
top in your
washing.
sleeve if you can, and always wash your hands. Stuff.
Make sure that your hands cover your mouth, you cough, and take vitamins. Wash your hands often. I have the sterilized whatever alcohol things.
Most importantly, you should not be going out in public, should not be attending work, school, going grocery shopping, to the movie theater or whatnot. You should basically keep yourself isolated until the symptoms have resolved.
Watch how you cough and keep your hands clean, and keep away from other people who could catch it.
Well, the first way to prevent from getting it to others is actually to prevent it from getting it yourself. So, which would be washing your hands often, staying healthy by eating well and getting plenty of exercise, and when the vaccine is available, to go and get your flu shot. If you do get sick, though, if you get influenza-like symptoms, the best way then is to stay home, avoid spreading it to others, and using appropriate techniques for coughing and sneezing, as we demonstrated earlier. But beside that, if you stay home, but your symptoms are not getting better, if the fever doesn't respond to regular treatment with acetaminophen or other medications to keep fever down, then the best way would be to call HealthLink and get advice.
So thank you very much for watching and see you next time.